Hey guys, it's the Witnesses Podcast. We have a crazy episode for you guys. Stick around. We talk to Deshaun. We talk about the AFC North. We talk about the upcoming Seattle matchup. And we got a little secret for you in there. Tom, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go, baby. TWP.
Peace.
Peace and rest is in peace for our quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Tom, so we won. We got a lot to feel good about, obviously. You know, let's say what it is. We beat them, but we still got some QB woes. Biggest concern about Deshaun's injury. What do you think?
Yeah, you got to win the ugly ones, but definitely walking away from this not feeling good about Deshaun. It's just a mystery, and I really don't think that he knows any better than we do right now. What are you thinking?
I honestly, my mind immediately went to like, how can we set him up for another massage with some video, and so we can get it released, just so we can get out of his contract, because he definitely went out because he thought he threw another pick, and he would have had 2 picks and 5 passes, and so, you know, he's medically cleared to play. He's holding his injuries, nursing it. Tom, I don't feel good about this one, man.
Yeah, Kevin came out and said, Deshaun's definitely starting next game. And then Deshaun came out and was like, not sure if I'm starting next game. Has communication become a concern yet, guys? Like, what's going on? Why the mixed messaging? I mean, dude, Deshaun is out there seeing ghosts. He's playing poorly. His arm is supposedly healthy. His shoulder is healthy. And he was cleared for concussion protocol almost immediately and was just basically benched. They said it was because of an injury, but he was basically benched.
Did they not expect him to get hit? Like, was the game plan after one hit, we'll get you out and I'll protect you, Deshaun? Like, did they not think that was a possibility in this game of football?
Yeah, I who knows? But PJ Walker came in. He won us a game. He had some turnovers. He had some bad misses. Why do I still feel more comfortable with him on the field?
I agree. I would want him taking first team reps all the time, but I feel so nervous because if every week we're going to go in, like on Tuesday of this week, Kevin said he's waiting on an MRI to decide what to do. Like, if every single week we're going to wait till Wednesday, Thursday to get PJ in, we are rolling the muck and dice, because there are some plays where PJ is kind of not the person he should be.
That is such a nice way of putting it. Yeah, there was a few throws where he threw it 5 feet high. And yeah, we'll get into some other stuff later, but he got bailed out a few times too. I mean, he just didn't have a great game, but he did enough to win. And that's all you can ask for somebody who, again, kind of got thrust into the spotlight. So now he has 2 wins against 2 teams back-to-back. But is he enough? And I think that's the question on everybody's minds right now. Should we go back and get Jacoby Brissett, who we had last year? What would we be doing if we kept Josh Dobbs? Should we give everything on the lake to go and get Kirk Cousins? I mean, Zach, what do you think?
Josh Dobbs seems like a wet dream that we can't attain anymore. I wish we had Josh Dobbs, but I was looking more into the Jacoby situation. It's only $3 million on the books the Browns would have to pay this year. I look at it from if we're going to have to trade for a quarterback, if XFL star PJ Walker isn't out. The one thing I will say is the only way I would trade for a quarterback, I don't want Kirk Cousins. It has to be a guy that kind of knows our offense, kind of knows our guys, knows the guys' wide receiver timing. It makes sense. $3 million on the books. Barry, you've traded everything. We have Charmin Soft, Deshaun Watson. Why the heck not, Tommy?
I love that it's official. He is Charmin Soft. No, I didn't realize how affordable Jacoby was. $3 million's nothing, and we cleared a ton of space this year to make moves kind of like this. And if you recall, last year our offense was better than our defense by quite a bit. And this year we do have the best defense in the league. They probably had their worst outing, but they generated the most turnovers, which kind of makes up for the yards that they gave up. But if Jacoby came in and just played good football, good, clean, conservative football, yeah, we're a playoff team, no doubt. And we can go deep with him.
We could. That's why, like, we could go deep with him and with our defense. That's why I like. Are we willing to wait and waste another season? By week 12, dude, I don't want to go in every single Thursday and not know if Deshaun's playing. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, it's unviewable. It's exhausting, and man, he just looked slow. He looked sluggish, uh, and I don't know what to say. I think he needs to play like what Kevin Stefanski wants him to do. He needs to play like slowly building out, do some smart run plays, some smart short stuff, some smart quick stuff. But I think he's over here like, I'm a Cadillac. You got to let me run. You got to let me bootleg and do some big stuff. And then he just throws picks so quickly, so quickly. And
He can't even throw a 3-yard pass.
yeah, no, he can't at all. And that's exactly what Jacoby would do. And yeah, there's just the flexibility there of like a healthy relationship with the coach because, man, I think it's clear that Kevin doesn't like him at this point. I don't think Kevin likes Deshaun at all. And I think he also has the locker room split where people are kind of more leaning toward, hey, we got to do this the way that Kevin wants us to do it. And there are some people who are, saying maybe we could be even better with Deshaun. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say about Deshaun, but I don't think there would be any dissension if it was Jacoby Brissett. Everyone would be on the same page.
And if PJ goes down, it makes me nervous. Like, who do we have that's going to back up PJ? He's one bad hit away from leaving the game, and we don't have a third quarterback. Learning the offense is very tough to do as a quarterback. If you guys are on YouTube, I would love for you to comment what quarterback has been traded for midseason that has done good, done well. This is Jacoby is our only hope at that going well. If PJ Walker, I mean, he's a couple picks away. He was a couple bad decisions away. People are saying, couple bailout calls away. Tom, 2 questionable calls at the end of the Colts-Browns game. What are your thoughts about that?
I've got some strong opinions, but if I was a Colts fan, I would be absolutely pissed off right now, and they have every right to be. I think these are 2 very questionable calls, but I think the penalties are undeniable. Like, let's start with the one on the right. That's the first play that happened. It also was super unfortunate that it happened on a strip sack. Like, P.J. Walker got obliterated, and DeForest Buckner picked up the ball, and it would have ended the game. And I felt it. My heart sank out of my shorts, and I was like, okay, we did lose to the Colts. We did lose to the Colts, but he got a bailout call. But what happened on this play is Amari juked this guy out of his jock strap, and he is on his way to the ground, and he reaches for him. You can't extend your arms around a guy's waist. The one qualifier is that it doesn't seem like it really affected Amari's route at all. So it's a light call. But you can't, you're hugging a guy as you're falling over, and I think it matters that he's falling over, because if he was standing upright and hugged the guy, it's egregious. But this is clearly like, this is my last-ditch effort, so it's easier to call. So it's a tough call. The other one, well, I'll get into my feelings about the word uncatchable, but you can't extend your 2 hands and put them on a guy's arm and expect to get a no call. Like, he's clearly pulling DPJ's arm. The term uncatchable comes into mind here because the ball was thrown high. But uncatchable is like the least definable term in football right now, because the thought process is, well, if he didn't commit the penalty, could he have gathered his feet and could he have jumped? Like, what's that, another 5 feet we should just give him? Is that another 10 feet? I mean, unless he throws it to the other side of the field, you can't say anything's uncatchable if a penalty is committed on that play. And that's just like, that's semantics. This was a bad call also, but I'll take it. Bad calls happen all the time. We've pointed out a handful of bad calls against the Browns and for the Browns. So it just happens every week, and I don't know. Are there more eyes than on the ref than ever before? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. There's more eyes, but it doesn't negate the fact that these are 2 questionable calls, questionable in all caps. Did the Browns pay the refs off like people have been saying? No, I don't think so. I think this is one of the first time in Browns history where we've had the refs kind of favor us. And guess what? Colts fans, I'm not going to apologize for that because it happens to everyone except the Browns. And if the season for us is going to turn around, it's going to take the refs. It's going to take the lake to not be as bad and have a crazy lake effect. D-Hop coming in. It's going to take crazy stuff, and I'm all here for it. I'm here for being on the right side of a wrong call.
I mean, yeah, it ultimately it happens at the end of the day, and they had the ball after these penalties at the 1. The Colts stopped them for 3 plays. They were this close, and your boy Kareem Hunt pushed through a defensive lineman to put it in on 4th down. It wasn't easy. Yes, it should have probably been easier for the Browns, but again, like, nobody wants to give us credit for winning with an XFL quarterback. Like, the Colts are a good team. They really are Anthony Richardson developing away from being a playoff contender. Their defense has a lot of strong pieces, and their wide receiver core is good. Jonathan Taylor just agreed to an extension. Like, they have a lot going for them that I didn't realize. And also, I hate to admit it, they looked all right in these jerseys.
The thing is, it looks worse on picture, and the thing that is really bad about these is the 2 stripes. It's disgusting. It just doesn't add up.
Hey, and when you hang 38 up, though, you look like maybe they're cool, you know?
Jonathan Taylor's going to look cool no matter what happens. And we got Jonathan Taylor the best he's ever been this year. I mean, obviously he's going to keep getting better, but this is the first week that they said he wasn't on a snap count. So
I think played well.
You got to give him credit.
Yeah. But, you know, we're talking about people getting breaks. Nobody is getting a break in the AFC North. The AFC North is freaking loaded. We said it before the season. It's the best division in football. We gave some other divisions a tip of the cap and said you're in the conversation. But the Bengals, who are still a Super Bowl contender at 3-3, are last right now. This division is so cutthroat. I mean, you think about teams like the Giants, who I think they made the playoffs last year. Can you imagine if the Giants were in this division? I mean, well, Zach, do you think this is the best division in football?
I think it has to be. I mean, statistically through this week 7, 16 wins for this division, which is the most in the NFL right now. So statistically, I think we are good. But if you just look at the Ravens, as Lamar is looking amazing. Hate to admit it. He's looking really good. He's only going to get better. The Steelers are finding ways to win when nobody, like, they're reaching in a bag and there's like miraculously 7 million other ways to win in there, and they're just pulling them all out.
Mike Tomlin might be the best coach in football.
That's why his picture's up there, because
it's him.
He's the one who's doing that against Matt Canada, against Kenny Pickett. And the Bengals, I think they're trending in the upward direction. You know, they are coming off a bye week, another week for Joe Burrow's calf. I don't think there's a more competitive division, Tom. I mean, is this just because we're huge Browns fans, or?
No, the stats speak for themselves. I mean, the records alone. And if you were to tell me the Bengals were in your division and they wouldn't be the top team in your division, most divisions I'd say you're full of it. Most divisions I'd say you're out of your mind. And they're in last right now. And, like, that has to do with Joe Burrow's injury, but they're trending in the right direction. It is an absolute marathon in the AFC North right now. I mean, there are teams who would be 4-2 right now, and they'd say, there's no way we're not making the playoffs. And I think every team in the North is currently thinking, oh, we have to keep this win streak going, or before we know it, we're out of the race. We just can't keep up.
But that's why I think this Deshaun issue and this injury, as much as it sucks to harp on it, that's why I think this is a bigger deal than it has come to the surface. I mean, going into the Seattle game, we have predictions for you coming up. We're underdogs. Vegas is not betting against us. Guys, we don't have a quarterback, so it feels great to be at 4-2. But, Tom, is there some sense of urgency where, like, we just feels weird to be so contentious in this division, and we don't know our quarterback by Friday every single week.
Yeah, I mean things change every year, um, and you just have to capitalize when things are going well, especially things like Myles Garrett is playing unbelievable football right now. You have D-Hop come in a week before the season starts, and he's like the best kicker in football right now. Like, you would have never guessed that. Our O-line is blocking well, which isn't unexpected, but the fact that DeJuan Jones as a rookie came in and has been excellent, and Jedrick Wills as a run blocker has been excellent. As a pass blocker, he's been okay, but he's trending in the right direction. Like there's just a lot of surprises about this team, and you would have never guessed that our defense would be this frickin' good. And you have to capitalize on it. I mean, we had a very similar defense last year, and we weren't even middle of the pack. Like, we were a bad defense last year. We have to capitalize if this is the way things are trending. Right now, we have to make some moves.
Well, that's why we brought up the Jacoby stuff. I mean, just we have to capitalize, right? Because of what we have and the personnel that we have, it just makes sense to go make that move. And speaking of the personnel that we have a guy named Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett is constantly slept on for DPOY every single year. Myles Garrett, who even after his crazy game, people are saying TJ Watt is way better than him. Tom, is it too early to give Myles Garrett DPOY after last week? I mean, he was insane, dude.
He is out of his mind. I mean, you cannot design a better athlete for his size. Like, he's almost 300 pounds and he's got an 8-pack abs. You know, he had 2 strip sacks that were huge plays, absolutely monumental in the course of this game, and he also leapt over the long snapper for a blocked field goal. And it was about time he made a play like that where you went, oh my gosh. I mean, he makes plays like that all the time, but a play like this where that's going to be on his highlight reel for his career, you know, a defensive end leaping over linemen, that just doesn't happen. Honestly, I also wish that Denzel Ward didn't pick the ball up, because I would have loved to have seen Myles return the ball. Can you imagine trying to tackle this guy? Like, that's the only thing we've never gotten, is him carrying the ball, just like blocking people off like he's a freaking knight and they're a bunch of orcs or some trash. Like, dude, he's an absolute behemoth. He's a freak, and he's an intellectual as well, you know? And that, I think that does make him a more well-rounded person. He's a deep guy. Sometimes he's an introvert.
He loves anime. He had that little graveyard of all the QBs he sacked for a couple Halloweens ago. He is some guy that constantly gets disrespected for Defensive Player of the Year, like we mentioned, and he finally made so many impact plays, and it would be great to see him return. We haven't seen that. Do you think he's better than TJ Watt this year?
Absolutely. I mean, I think overall he's always been better than TJ Watt. And I've tried to convince myself that TJ Watt is a system player. He's just not. He's excellent. He's an incredible athlete. The Watts have a crazy nose for the ball. They make big plays. But Myles Garrett gets double teamed more than anyone in the league. And it's like not even close. It's, you know, there's a huge margin between him and the next closest person to be getting double teamed. He's always having to do way more than other people to be effective and produce because of what the other team matches up against him. He's size, strength, speed, and intelligence. He's all A+. There's really not a weakness to Myles Garrett. He is a perfect player. With TJ Watt, it's like size. That's all it is. He's just not as big as Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett is maybe a hair slower than him. But otherwise, you can't. If Myles is as good as he possibly can be, which he is, TJ Watt can never be as good as him.
That's why I think this year is different, and I completely agree about TJ Watt. If Myles is as good as he can be, I think we're overlooking the fact that last year he was going crazy until his car accident, and it clearly affected him, being on the verge of death and everything that went on. I mean, the person that was with him is had crazier injuries, obviously, because Myles Garrett's a guy you can describe as, oh, that's Myles Garrett. You already know, bigger than life. So last year he was trending to this crazy position until the accident. Now he's healthy in the NFL, and man, it doesn't look scary. He's getting better every single game, and it's not just him, it's the defense that we have that can assist him on more one-on-ones, and he crossed over last week. He against the Niners, he did the crossover motion again. He didn't get a sack, so it didn't get, but he's having and playing with such a free spirit. It's really impressive and fun to watch this year.
Yeah, and the pressure he's creating is like keeping the other D linemen involved. I mean, Zadarius Smith ended the game with a strip sack, and our Maurice Hurst and some of the other big boys, they're really. I mean, Jordan Elliott had a freaking good game. Who saw that coming? Way to go, Jordan. But we could probably use our defensive line to have another big freaking game this week. We are currently underdogs against the Seahawks. There's not a ton of narratives around this game, but these are two 4-2 teams that are in relatively comfortable position if they continue to trend in the direction they are to make the playoffs. So I think there's not a lot of hype around this game, and this should be a pretty hyped game. So two foreign teams match up. Zach, who do you got? What's your score prediction? What do you think the key matchups are?
Key matchup is going to be our defense. I think if we can get Geno out of his rhythm, they have a outside linebacker that's out for the season from last game. That was pretty impressive. They had JSN at wide receiver. Metcalf was out. I think it's going to be our defense, but I think overall this is basically the same thing that, Tom, I said last podcast, is it's just going to become down to mentality and who the heck is at our quarterback, because it's hard to find. I mean, the one thing about the Seahawks is they haven't really beat anyone. They beat the Lions, who have a chink in their armor, clearly. They beat the Panthers, Giants, and the Cardinals. And they lost to the Rams and the Bengals. So we beat the Bengals. Ideally, we should win, right? Like,
yeah.
What do you think is the biggest thing to look for in this game?
Well, yeah, I mean, they beat the Lions. That's a nice little tip of the cap, but the rest of those teams are super beatable teams. Yeah, I think our defense really needs to step up. I mean, you made a good point a week or two ago when we were talking about, it was before the Niners game when we were talking about the next 4 weeks, and you were like, these are all bad quarterbacks. Like, as long as our defense continues to feast, and Geno's not bad, but he's not excellent. He's not great. He's pretty good. And it's a good story. It's nice to see him in the league having some success after being such a huge bust. But yeah, he can obviously be had, and our defense has quarterbacks. Kenneth Walker's a beast. I freaking like Kenneth Walker. He torched Michigan when he was at Michigan State a few years ago. He can put a team on his back too. So our defense needs to step up. I think overall we still had a good game against the run last week. There was one drive in particular where Jonathan Taylor really took off, but it was only one drive. It was mostly kind of broken plays. I would say our defense needs to know that if Myles accidentally jumps off sides, the play is still live. They got a touchdown and a huge first down late in the game based on two plays where we just jumped off sides. And I don't know, Myles, you can't be jumping off sides, but at the same time, like, if you're a guy like that who needs to gamble and risk for the big play, which I'll let Myles do that as long as our corners remember to stay on JSN, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf.
Well, and Myles Garrett quit on that play too. It's like, dude, if you're gonna cross the the ref jump in front of you and go like this before you kill somebody, because, man, other than that, it's gonna be a good matchup. Like Metcalf, Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, who last week had his breakout week. Like, these are good wide receivers, and Kenny Walker is a dog. Like, it's going to be a tough day for the defense, and that's what makes me nervous. Yeah. We're going to say this for the next 10 weeks, it seems like. Tough day for the defense. Don't know who's at quarterback, and Deshaun, hopefully, is off IR.
I mean, yeah, these guys are like a dollar store version of the 49ers, where their quarterback is medium to bad, like mid to bad, and then everybody else is great. And their defensive backfield in particular is pretty dang good. The rest of the team is pretty good. So it doesn't seem like Jerome Ford's going to play. That's bad. He's looked good. But Kareem has looked good. Pierre Strong looked good.
Well, Kareem's injured, supposedly. He was questionable coming in. When he did his touchdown play, Kevin Stefanski said, yeah, not bad for a guy with one leg. So it's looking like a Pierre Strong, Kareem Hunt type of thing. That kind of makes me nervous, Tom.
Yeah, I'm not feeling great about that, and we absolutely need to be able to rely on some running backs. Do you think we're going to try and steal somebody before this game at running back?
Honestly, after talking about this right now, I sure hope so. Whoever Jacoby plays for, get the second running back there, get the first running back there, and if not, let's trade for Dalvin Cook. I don't care. Let's do whatever it takes to not rely on P.J. Walker and Pierre Strong. Oh my God!
Somebody said go trade for Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins, and I was like,
sure.
If we have the money, I guess I don't care at this point. We're 4-2, and we're never 4-2.
Listen, Jimmy and D, I know you watch this. Make the moves you're supposed to make, because we're gonna riot if you don't do what we want to do. Because our quarterback and his little micro tears and his little 70 MRIs, it's not cutting it for us right now.
Yeah. Well, and we're in the middle of a win streak. We got to keep it going. I mean, this is a big game. It's in Seattle. I do think that really matters. But if we can win this game, we have Arizona next. I mean, if you can string 4 together like you predicted, gosh, how did we make that happen? Most
absolutely
unpredictable thing, and you made it happen. We're going to will it to happen. We're going to sneak out this win. I say Browns win. Another tough one, another ugly game, because you have to win the ugly ones in this league. You got to take the good and bad calls, and you got to take the turnovers, and you got to still end up with more points than the other team. So, gosh, I think this is a high scorer as well. I think it's like 31-27 Browns.
Okay, I was thinking 24-31. So, Browns, obviously. I don't know why I started with 24. So, we both have the Browns. I don't think we'll ever pick the Browns to lose in a prediction that we do. But, guys, we've been dropping a lot of gems. A lot of gems over the last podcast. A lot of things that have happened. National media is covering it. Both in the NFL space, but as well as the NBA space. Guys, the Cleveland Cavaliers face the Brooklyn Nets on Wednesday for the first game this season. And, Tom, I was looking at the odds for who's going to win the Eastern Conference Finals, and I found it a little interesting. So we're the fourth at plus 900. Do you agree with those odds? Fourth best to make it out of the East?
I mean, there's a few goofy things in this list. But I think number one is, what are the Sixers doing there? Like, Joel Embiid's supposedly on the trade market right now, along with James Harden. Like, the Sixers, what are they doing at third? So I think we could at least be third. But I also, we got knocked out in the first round, and the Knicks are 3 spaces behind us. The Heat, who won it in the East, are 5th. It's kind of... I know the Celtics and the Bucks made big moves. That's why they're there. But us at 4, I could see us further down as well. But in my heart of hearts, I think we're third. I think we are.
We have to be. And the Sixers is the funniest thing you point out. Daryl Morey was like, with James Harden, we're the best team ever. Without James Harden, we're probably the second best team ever. They are just trying to convince themselves that having a disgruntled star that spends his nights at strip club is a good thing, and he only wants to go to one team. So I agree. Maybe we should be at 3. Tom, did you see that Bill Simmons report where he's lighting that fire under the aggregators' butts, saying, Donovan Mitchell, this is the last year for him, and talks have increased tremendously. He's been talking a lot about this Donovan Mitchell stuff. Do you think that has anything to do with aggregators and putting us down there at 4th and having some skepticism?
I mean, I don't know. I think Bill Simmons is a fan like the rest of us, and he wants movement. I don't know if he yeah, he wants to see. I think he wants to see Donovan in Miami, like a lot of people do. I think that's just like good for the league, as people would say. But hey, the Cavs Warriors 4-year dynasty rivalry was the best thing that's happened to the league in a long time. So Cleveland needs to get some damn respect. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is in theory that like the people who are on rosters right now stay where they are. But I don't know. I honestly think we match up well against the Sixers. Like, I think if they stayed the way they are, that we could take them. I mean, Joel Embiid had a great year last year, and he's had many great years, but him getting the MVP was kind of like them throwing him a bone, because otherwise the process has been processing for 12 years, and we ain't seen jack. So, thanks. Here's an MVP, Sixers. How do y'all feel that you've stuck it out? Yeah, dude, I think Evan Mobley and Jared Allen together can kind of minimize Joel Embiid. And, dude, can you imagine James Harden versus Donovan Mitchell? James Harden, the buffet line would take him out.
James Harden is still at a Golden Corral, and he's doing that 24-hour challenge where he spends 24 hours there to bulk up. So when he finally shows his face, he's not able to be played and traded to the Clippers. So
he's eating barbecue shrimp at a strip club right now. Like, he's literally eating front row.
He's the funniest, because they're like, oh yeah, he has to decide by the 29th day, because the 30th day he'll actually won't be able to go into the free agency that he wants next year, because he won't have done his duties for 30 days. It's like, bro, every team, it's like rinse repeat. Disgruntled. Oh, I'm going to get fat in the off season. Oh, I'm going to come in out of shape. I'm going to need 2 months to get in shape. Here's the only team I want to go to. Trade me there. Gets traded there. Miraculously in shape. Rinse, repeat. It's the same scam Harden. It's just like Ben Scammons. It's like these guys you can rely on that are never going to do.
Ben's going to have a big year.
Hey, that's the real hot take in media now, is saying
Ben's actually going to have a big year.
You're doing it right, Tom. You're doing it right. Yes, Ben Simmons is going to have the best year ever.
I was saying when he was at his absolute lowest that we should trade for him just to see if we could get anything out of him. But now that we haven't done that, and it looks like he's going to start this year, he's a fool, and he's bad, and he'll never be able to return to his, defensive player of the year level.
No.
He never won that, but he got close a couple times.
No, and speaking of, talent that was up and coming in the NBA, so Darius Garland 2 years ago makes the NBA All-Star, right? Last year he doesn't with Donovan Mitchell. And Tom, I was just kind of thinking, how many All-Stars do you think the Cleveland Cavaliers could have this year?
I mean, we could make up the whole All-Star team. I mean, everybody's a freaking star. But, no, of course I'm kidding. We'll just be like the starting five for the East. No, of course I'm kidding. I think we could easily have 3. I think that's a very realistic number
and
to
they
have
are
Mobley, Garland, Mitchell.
Gotcha.
And I think Jared Allen could be on rotation. I think, that's peak performing for those 4 players, where those 3 are locks for the All-Star game, and then Jared Allen is an alternate. Like, that's exactly where you want all of those guys peaking, I think. It's realistic.
It's an interesting thing. Just something to monitor for our viewers and for us going forward. 3 would be awesome, and I think it would be achievable, and I think that is going to separate us to go to the number 1 up there in the odds. And, Wednesday's our first game. It's going to be a really good, fun day. Darius Garland questionable. Jared Allen's going to be out for at least another weekend. But, guys, a lot to look forward to.
Oh, yeah, and Ohio State beat Penn State. Go piss up a rope, Penn State.
McFishigan, baby. Somehow.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Thank you for tuning in to the 8th episode of TWP. We've really enjoyed this episode together, and we hope you enjoyed as well. So comment, subscribe, like, talk some trash. Honestly, make fun of my haircut. But thank you for viewing and engaging. Zach, let's get out of here. TWP.